everyone. This is Marita from Crypto for Live in Chinese in China now, and it's great to be speaking with you. Congratulations, I think.
Thank you.
And yes, and I think everybody uh, is already know about the Will Financial, but I think you launched the Whiskey Digital Fund,
That's
and
right.
yes, and I would like to ask you the first question is about when you're launching this fund. Do you think the most difficult part of the progress was the technical or is the financial part? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great question. We've actually encountered, many difficulties. I think, we started with wanting to find the best asset that we can tokenize, and that took a little bit of finding, but we found this in American whiskey, which has a great return profile. The second part, which I think is something that we also work very hard on, is to secure production capacity for whiskey. It's very hard to find providers out of Kentucky to be able to provide us with the volume that we need. And thereafter, I think everything fell into place after we were networked into the area, and we put the fund together. So,
Mm-hmm.
Wave Financial has been in the STO space for quite a while. We were consultants to a
Yes.
number of protocols and so forth. So from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective, it was not hard from a security token perspective. So it was really
Okay.
more on putting together the whiskey side that was more difficult.
Mm-hmm. I see. Thank you. Okay. So I want to know what the type of the tech I think for the security token for the digital security token, I think they need to tokenization the fund out. I I was curious about all the type of the technology standard you are using which one.
Sure. Yeah. So, that's the part that we have a lot of familiarity with. So we interviewed a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different people and worked with a lot of suppliers. We are
Mm-hmm.
currently in the process of working with Propine on the issuance side. We're working with
Okay.
NEM, the protocol. They're coming up with a symbol protocol for
Okay.
security tokens. And we're in conversation. We've signed actually a letter of intent to list with INX, which is
Mm-hmm.
a major US company that has
Yes,
just
I
bought
see.
the OpenFinance
I know.
network. So all of these pieces, I think, help us build a good foundation of the product.
Yes, that's right. Great to know that, and thank you. And the next question, and I want to know, I know Will Financial is an asset management platform for investors, and so I would like to ask you about, and do you think what type of the digital assets is is or is for the investors will prefer in the future?
Sure. We are a registered investment advisor here in California.
Mm-hmm.
I'm registered with the SEC, and most people in our firm is registered. So we are trying
I
to
see.
create a very properly done a registered platform for asset management. Our focus
Mm-hmm.
is on asset management on the digital asset side, and we also do wealth management for clients. So on one side of the business, we have digital assets. We're looking at the best investments possible and tokenizing that,
Mm-hmm.
such as whiskey and so forth. On the other side, we do actually provide cryptocurrency funds and services there. We believe that both the cryptocurrency side and hard assets are great places to invest in, because I think most of the global governments are actually printing a lot of money, so there could potentially be risk of inflation. So having hard assets and digital assets, we think, are great. We're also looking at other things that we can tokenize. We've been looking at
Mm-hmm.
collectible space. We've looked at, just as an example, we've looked at Japanese racehorses. We've looked at carbon credit out of Indonesia and so forth. So, many different angles we're looking at. We started with whiskey just because it had really the best return profile, and it's structured like a private equity fund. So the tokenization really makes it interesting in terms of providing.
See, thank you. And uh, that's the for the Will platform. I think. Do you have any plans in the future? You become the issuer, the digital security issuance platform, or the trading platform. Do you have this plan in the
Sure,
future?
Yeah, sure. I think there are a lot of experts who are on the issuance side. They provide a
Yes,
lot more technical capabilities. We're
yes.
really an asset manager and we're really more on the finance side. And I come from a finance background. I spent, 12 years with Merrill Lynch. I used to run structured products in Asia and used to run commodities actually out of Asia. So, I'm much more familiar on the finance side rather than on the technology side. And that's the area that we focus on. I'm more into building products from a financial perspective. We also think that exchanges are very interesting, and I
Yes.
ran the trading desk before. I was on the trading floor for 12 years, but I think it's very important to collect liquidity, and because of that, it's probably better to work with existing exchanges that have many different things listed and also have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
clients. So it's
Yes.
really, it's better to pool that effort so we all work together rather than me creating my own issuance
Mm-hmm.
platform, my own trading entity, and
Yeah,
so on.
yeah, I see. That's right. I see. Thank you.
Sure.
And my last question is about so you do many and you do the digital security token work, and what do you think the most difficult things for now?
Sure. I think there are two things that are difficult. I
Mm-hmm.
think one is probably because we're in the US, we deal with it a lot, which is US taxes. I think that's a difficult thing with trying to
Oh, I
work,
see.
we want to be very compliant, but because of that, we spend a lot of time working through that. And the second
I
thing
see.
is, I think, and this is things that I think a lot of people are facing, which is the inconsistent regulatory framework, between
Mm-hmm.
countries. I
Mm-hmm.
think traditionally finance is done very locally. You have U.S. security laws, Japan security laws, Hong Kong
Mm-hmm.
security
Yes,
laws,
this is
Singapore.
very different.
They're
Different.
all very different, and I used to be licensed
Yes.
in every single one of those countries, so I've
Yes.
actually taken all the tests for every country. They're
Mm-hmm.
somewhat different in the way they do things. But when you get to digital security, which from an investor perspective is very global, it's very transactionable, and it's easily accessible for everybody in all of these countries all simultaneously. The
Mm-hmm.
regulations become a lot more difficult. They become jigsaw puzzles that have difficulty working through, and that's where we spend a lot of time to make sure our structure works for as many client pools as we can.
That's right. It's very good to hear from you. And we're also doing some technology for the digital security. We hope we can cooperate together in the future. And
Sure.
yes,
Yes. That would be
yes.
great.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay,
Hi,
great. Thank
camera.
you.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So anyone else? Paul
Ben,
Pine?
I just have one question, very quick one.
Sure.
You sort of mentioned that, there are a lot of people who say that when there's nothing or very few things to buy, investors will not even bother to go in. So do you think that most security token exchanges have gotten it all wrong, meaning that launching their platforms with very few listings instead of having partnered with more digital securities offering before the launch?
I think that that's a good question, and that's it's a matter of style. I think if there are interesting enough projects on the exchange, people will come. So, there is I think really a chicken and the egg type of issue. My concern is probably more, and I think I've spoken about this with a number of people. My concern is having too many exchanges. If you look at the equity side or if you look at the fixed income side, most countries typically have 1 to 2 exchanges that most things are traded on. Now, there are separate exchanges for example, equity or fixed income or commodity futures and so forth. But there's usually 1, 2 centralized exchanges to trade one thing, two things. Moving more to the commodity space, which I've spent a lot of time on, crude oil is traded really your Brent crude oil or your WTI, which is kind of US versus European standard. And that's it. That's what everybody trades on. And I think that's the type of, cooperation I'm hoping the security token space comes to, where there are probably going to end up being few exchanges where most people will congregate at. I think we're at the early stages, so we're probably at the everybody wants to open their own exchange phase, but there should be soon a consolidation to try to pull all the liquidity together, and I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of each country having 1, 2 representative security token exchanges over the long term.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Congrats again.
Sure, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ben. I have a few more questions from Token Post and then Compass Courier, but I will send it to you offline. So if you can,
Sure, yeah, not a
I will
problem at
pass
all.
it over.
Happy to- yeah, that sounds good. Yes, happy to answer questions on email. Thank you very much. Thank
Sure.
you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.